I consider your email address as like your digital home address. It's where you live. And if anybody can enter your house just because they know your address, that's kind of ridiculous in the physical world. So for us, we were like, that's where we need to change the game.
And so I'm excited to be able to chat with you today to begin. Describe what you provide in very brief, 5 seconds.
Edison Mail and OnMail. We have two products for consumers. Edison Mail is an email client that allows you to connect all kinds of email accounts into one. And number two, OnMail is your way to get a brand new email account that will change how you think about your email.
Email is how we live and breathe, how we communicate. Talk about everywhere. In today's environment, especially. How are you doing it differently? Why would someone say, let's use you versus what's already in my phone, my Apple Mail, or Gmail?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the main problem we solve is that we provide consumers the control and transparency over their mailbox. That has been lost. First, number one, which everybody feels this pain, which is anybody can email you. All they have to have is your email account, and next thing you know, you can get one or hundreds of emails from them, whether you want it or you don't want it. I consider your email address as like your digital home address. It's where you live. And if anybody can enter your house just because they know your address, that's kind of ridiculous in the physical world. So for us, we were like, that's where we need to change the game. And, building a brand new email service is extremely difficult, which is why there are so few players in the world today. But building an email client was the first step towards that. And what we did is we perfected the technology and the user experience around unsubscribing unwanted people in your inbox. That's the number one feature we touted when we built our email client. It was not, we have this new email, experience or some UX, or it was just this very simple service. It was speed, it was search, and it was ability to unsubscribe. On top of it, we built this really interesting AI in our email client and in our email service. We just launched OnMail, which is a brand new email service. The technology allows consumers to search or have their information, some of their information pre-searched and sort of allocated into these assistant boxes. So usually what we've noticed as the world has progressed into how consumers can communicate, we've noticed that people are usually using their email for airline tickets, for subscriptions, for getting package tracking, getting e-receipts. So most of the time when you go back in there to search for something like, oh, you bought that concert ticket 6 months ago. Now, where's that concert ticket? And you go through searching all through your all different accounts, first of all, because you don't know which account you bought it in. Putting it all together, just improving that experience where you can search for something right away was done through AI. We actually pre-sorted those kind of receipts, put it into an assistant box called events and entertainment. And next time you go looking for that ticket, you just have to go into that box. It's not like your email is moved there. It's actually this whole domain expertise on events and tickets around AI, where we understand what is a ticket, what is an advertisement, how to extract that information, how to put it into a beautiful format that the consumers will like. All that stuff and that technology that goes underneath has been built over 10 years for us for different domains: travel, package tracking, receipts, e-receipts, and also for subscriptions and unsubscribe. And including, we have this technology that we haven't used a lot, but we're starting to use it in OnMail, which is the ability to find out what is a person's email address and phone number just from their contact signatures and information and back and forth, so that we can reliably tell you this is their address and phone number that you can then update into your contacts. So that it's a lot of stuff all put together.
Packed in together.
On top of it is just a wonderful, fast email service. And so people love it.
What I'm kind of fascinated with is kind of the evolution of AI. The original spam filter is a form of AI saying this is probably not email you want, let me put it over here. But now this next level of evolution of AI is...
I love what you just said. It's exactly
helping.
That kind of way, yes.
Because it's we want to spend less time having to surf through things we don't really want to see at this time versus things we never want to see. Now this next step is being able to isolate it by those smart categories, having that assistant break it down. And fascinating, that second part you said you're just starting to foray more into, which is managing effectively your contact database. Because that's kind of annoying too, making sure you have the right information, updated information as a consumer. I mean, business owners or businesses, they already have a whole CRM they have to manage. But as an individual, having an assistant manage that for you, it's like having your own little executive admin to do it.
And we just launched that feature under our premium product. It's a month-old feature that we just launched. And, consumers, the other thing that we're also trying to change in this world is how consumers view technology, the transparency of how your product, your feature, your free products that you're using, how transparent are they? How clear is it to you that when you put a search comment into any kind of search bar on a browser, how many hundreds of ways is that data being used?
This is a really interesting conversation around kind of this behavioral change, or rather a consumer education on, wow, free products are free for a reason, and I need to learn how to better understand how my data is being used. It's like this consumer education that's happening, and it needs to keep moving forward, because you said free products aren't going away. So how are you guys then providing that education or clarity for the consumer to know how their data is being used?
So first of all, the unique thing that Edison software brings to the table is that we have the option of just taking the data, bundling it, and providing it to companies that do aggregation of data, right? And they then you don't even know what's happening. What we did is we actually built out that side of the business to create research from the data and provide the examples of what that research looks like, and then how that research is even useful to the end company, like the B2B part of the company that uses that data. So if you go to Edison software, you'll see we talk about all our products in one page. We talk about our software products to consumers and our Edison Trends product that goes to businesses. And when you go to edisontrends.com, or it's connected to Edison's main webpage, you see the type of research we've done that allows us to help not just consumers understand what's happening in some of the e-commerce trends, but also for companies to understand what's happening in the e-commerce space. And that's just done by aggregating. It's kind of like a census. And I liked your analogy with us on the spam side. And I like the census analogy where you just aggregate information together and you can't tell that this information came from a Hetal's inbox. Basically, that's our goal. The goal for privacy is it is so aggregated. It's millions of data points all put together. And it's something as simple as who shopped at Costco last week, who spent more than $50, who spent more money on toilet paper versus Clorox products. So that's the type of aggregation that we're doing.
But then these other businesses can't market to that individual specifically.
Never.
You're not being invaded by, they know I shopped here, so now they're going to market to me.
Exactly. It's legally not allowed, first of all. So these large companies, their lawyers and their people care what they're legally allowed to do. So we basically make sure that the data is not identifiable. Even if they attach a couple extra pieces of information that they know about this transaction, they still should not be able to figure out who the user is. So let's talk about companies where you have maybe a shipping address. We will never show somebody's shipping address. And it's automatically done. This is the best part of the AI piece. The algorithm themselves scan the information, remove these kind of outliers, and then the data is aggregated and put together.
So no humans are actually then looking at your emails.
Not looking at this data. This has been built over the years. In the initial days, and if you understand how AI works, in the initial days, it's the training data, but that training data was supplied by consumers, allowing us to look at that data. But this was so early that 10 years ago when people said, yeah, we're interested in this technology. You can use our data. And we got a cohort of consumers who agreed for us to use their data. But over the years now, we never look at anybody's emails unless the consumer once again specifically says, I think something is wrong with this receipt. Please, can you take a look at it and help me figure out why it's not showing up in the right place?
Moving forward now, this 10 years, obviously you built up this, and now it's really exciting. You built the application, but also now a service that people can get their own email as service through you guys. What are you most excited about in the near term that you were working on, and in the long term, next 5-10 years?
We really think that email is broken. And we really believe that consumers will find how much it improves their lives when they use a product that is like 100 times better than what they are using today. Every single person I know, and they could be professionals, stay-at-home moms, retired people. I have talked to so many people asking them about their experience and feelings about their email, and they talk about it as if it's this dreadful chore that they have to, sit down. And I was doing email till 2 a.m. last night. And it's like, oh my God, and I have to look, I missed this important email. Why? Because I had 500 other crazy emails in there. I think that is what we have to change. This is something we use every day. How can consumers be so laid back on something they use every day and not look for an improvement? In 5 years, I bet you consumers will be able to say that they spend less time on their email. If they're using these kind of products that are helping them reduce this bearing of what their cognitive bearing that they're feeling every day, that is going to change. They're going to have, and more time to do whatever. But I think the fact that they're not spending time deleting emails, that's a big game changer. It sounds so simple. I'm telling you, it sounds simple. It is not that simple. And that would be a huge change. And I think I would be very happy if Edison touches all these people's lives by just remembering that they are no longer deleting emails because of technology that came from Edison.
Where can people go to learn more, and what's a good first step for them to take?
I think the simplest thing to do is to start with edison.tech, look at our products, see which ones they can start checking out today, check the type of research that we do and how consumer research has completely changed. The fact that we are changing the game, not just on the consumer side where we are building this email product, but we're changing the way how research is being done, where people are the other part about this thing that I haven't mentioned before is very interesting. Most times when people ask you to do research, they send you a survey or they measure, or they ask you to, or they do something that's unnatural, like click on something, post something, pin something, like something. We're not asking people to change their behaviors when we're measuring anything that around this research. It is the most natural research piece that we're doing, where we're not asking people to change their behaviors, change their addictive, not making them addicted to some technology just so that we can do this B2B side of our business. It is just this most natural. If you buy something and if it is part of this receipt, we will aggregate the data, we will protect your privacy. And the best part is that you can opt out anytime. The consumers can opt out of this research anytime and say, I'm not interested in this. I will pay you guys, or I will do, there are ways for them to do that. So there's this whole combination of, if I go to Google today and I say, I want to pay for your search. So that's the beauty of being a small company and being able to lead the way in all kinds of areas of technology.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.